Welcome, everybody, to another edition, the Friday edition of E.W. Jackson for America. I'm speaking tomorrow at the Tea Party Summit for the state of Virginia in Richmond, Virginia. Just talked to my good friend Nelson Velez, who heads up the Tea Party. I'll be there tomorrow morning. Let me see if I have, because this was kind of a last-minute thing, but I'm going to be at 5501 Eubank Road. It's actually Sandston, Virginia, which is right outside of Richmond. Sandston, Virginia. So if you're in the area, come on out and be a part of what I have no doubt will be a great celebration, but also very serious discussion about moving forward. So that's tomorrow morning. I'll be there. I'm speaking at about 10 o'clock. So that's tomorrow, Tea Party Summit at 5501 Eubank Road in Sandston, Virginia. Yesterday afternoon, wow, this is really important and really great. We have started something called the Stand Fellowship. It is a fellowship of Christian leaders who are taking a stand, but we don't want them to stand alone. So we've created the Stand Fellowship. We're going to be having monthly conference calls. This is, of course, by invitation only, but you are certainly welcome to join. There is a joining process. You can go to the website at standamerica.us. Sign up for the Stand Fellowship. There's individual memberships, so you can join as an individual Christian leader. We are asking that this be reserved for Christian leaders, but you don't have to be a minister. But maybe you run a business. You're a Christian. You run a business. You're a Christian. You have a Christian ministry or organization that you run. So we are looking for Christian leaders for this fellowship. So go ahead and put in your application if you qualify, and we'd be happy to have you. We are seeking to grow this, but we had a tremendous conference call yesterday, a tremendous conference call. It really was. I was inspired by it. And we got some wonderful people that have joined themselves to Stand and to me, and we are playing a role. You know, we can maybe get the high profile recognition from a Fox News or others. But I'll tell you, we are playing a role in helping to call this country back to its first principles, back to God, back to true liberty, as the Founding Fathers envisioned it, true freedom of speech, true freedom of religion. So if you want to be a part of that, go to standamerica.us. Let me also say, since it's Friday is some of my finance day, it takes money to run this organization. And I want to thank all of you who are contributing on a monthly basis as Patriot Partners to do that. I want to tell you that we have an ongoing offer for Patriot Partners. If you sign up to be a Patriot Partner at $25 a month or more, I will send you a free signed copy of my book. And by the way, I've got a new book coming out next year called One Nation Under God. And I'm very excited about this. And as a matter of fact, I'm working on the forward to it now. But we're going to then fold that right in. So that's going to be for new Patriot Partners. So to new Patriot Partners next year, I have a new book. I'll give people the choice. They can either get Sweet Land of Liberty or they can get One Nation Under God. Either one will be available to them. So, but join with us in whatever way you can. And by the way, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be $25 a month. It can be $5 a month. It can be $10 a month, whatever God lays on your heart or whatever you feel you can afford. We have Patriot Partners who give as little as $5 a month, and we have Patriot Partners. As a matter of fact, I just realized something too. I haven't seen some of those checks that we changed our address, by the way, folks. Let me get into that here just briefly. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But anywhere from $5 a month to $2,000 a month. That's the range of our Patriot Partners. So they're of course, most of them are in the probably in the $25 to $50 range, most of them. But we have those who give less, and we have obviously those who give more. My wife and I are Patriot Partners for Stand, and we certainly give more than the minimum, because I always say you can't ask others to do what you're not willing to do yourself. If you all notice on when we have our Stand Awards dinner, my wife and I are always sponsors. That's real sponsorship. That's real money that we give to the organization in order to be sponsors for our dinner. Because again, I don't reach out to sponsors and say, "Will you do it?" if we're not willing to do it. I thank God we're able to do it. So we usually come in at about $10,000, about a $10,000 contribution to the dinner. And we are monthly Patriot partners to the organization as well. Just want you all to know. I don't believe in working with any organization, supporting any organization, and not giving. So I don't just do work for AFR, for which they compensate me, but I give to AFR. I give to Andrew Wommack Ministries. I give to those ministries that I believe in, and particularly ones that I'm directly working with. I mean, that I just can't. I couldn't imagine not doing that. Particularly, I participated in Share-a-thon with American Family Radio. How can I go on the radio and say, give to American Family Radio, and then I don't do it? That doesn't make sense to me. And likewise for Stand, likewise for my church. I cannot take up an offering or ask people to give to Stand, and then I don't do it. And I'm the CEO, and I'm trying to run the organization and asking people for money, but I don't give money. I mean, that to me doesn't wash. So, but it takes money to run this organization, and anything you can give, it would be appreciated. As always, and this is not a throwaway line or something I say because it sounds Christian to say it. I say it because I really mean it. Please pray for us, because we really do want Stand to go to the next level, and we're not there yet. We want to go to the next level, meaning I want to be able to look 2 or 3 years down the road, because we've got enough money in the bank that I'm not looking for I'm not looking to raise money quarter to quarter merely, but I'm looking down the road. I'm raising money like right now. I want to be in a position in the normal course to be thinking in Christian conservative activism. I want Stand to go on in perpetuity. And in order to do that, we've got to have a strong financial base. And I really believe that the key to that is the grassroots giver. We just don't have enough of them yet. We've only got, what, I'm not even going to give you a number because we've been so all over the place with that number that it's exasperating to talk about it, because I thought we were at one place and it turned out we were at another place. But at any rate, we do have over 200 Patriot partners a month. But my goal is 500, and we have not been able to get there. I think the economy got in the way, COVID got in the way. But that's where I want to get to. I want to get to 500 Patriot partners. By the way, by email, by electronic givers. I want to get to 20,000 national donors through direct mail. But we don't really have a direct mail campaign. We don't have a direct mail campaign yet at all, because they're so costly to start, and you have to invest so much money up front in the normal course to get them going that it is really very difficult. So, we're looking at an upfront investment of about $50,000 in order to get a good direct mail campaign going, where you have come away from that with a minimum of, say, 5,000 monthly donors or regular donors. But then you build on that. You go to 5,000 to 10,000 to 15,000, 20,000, maybe more. There are organizations with 1 million donors. And, of course, you know how well they're doing. They've got 1 million people giving $5, $10, $15, $25 a month or several times a year. And, the budget of the organization is met, not leaving aside all whatever major donors, people who will give 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, 750,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million bucks to the organization to help it be stable. So we want to get a direct mail campaign going. That's going to cost us about $50,000 when we finally have the cash on hand to do that without hurting other responsibilities of the organization. I want to hire an executive director, somebody who runs the day-to-day operation for me, so that I'm not getting up every single morning, because I really do need to write, and I can't write the way I want to because I'm so busy running the day-to-day. I need a development director, somebody who is systematic about helping me strategize on raising the funds that we need. That person would oversee the direct mail campaign. That person would oversee the email campaign. That person would oversee our major donor campaign. That person would oversee our estates plan campaign, because really I want ultimately have donors who say, I believe enough in what Stan is doing that I'm going to include Stan in my estate plan, include Stan in my will, so that when I pass away, Stan's going to get $1 million, or Stan's going to get 100,000 or 500,000, or whatever it is, or 50,000 or 25,000, whatever it is, Stan's going to get that money to help continue its mission. So I'm really looking for estate planning giving as well, but I need a development director to take responsibility to manage all of that, because I can't run the organization and raise the money and speak and write and do all of that myself effectively. Something ultimately suffers, and right now what ultimately suffers is all of it, frankly, because I can't do as much writing. I don't think I've written an article in probably a couple of years now since I finished my book. I got some writing to do now, but that's really pending. People are asking me to write things, and I've got to get it done. So an executive director, development director, and a communications director, somebody who is responsible for getting out press releases on a regular basis, communicating with the media, making sure that people are aware of the things that we are doing, because we're doing a whole lot of stuff that doesn't get publicized because we simply don't have the bandwidth to get the word out there about what we're doing. So pray for us, because those are all things that we really need to put in place for the long-term health and well-being of the organization. I've got a wonderful staff, small but great staff, got a great board of directors, and this organization really has a great track record of accomplishing a lot with very, very little. So compared to comparatively speaking, I should say, I'm not interested in comparing myself to other organizations, but comparatively speaking, we've accomplished a great deal with very, very little. And I really believe that the best days for Stan are yet to come. So pray for us, please, because we desperately covet your prayers. Because we, as I say all the time, prayer will produce resources, but resources can never substitute for prayer. Okay? All right. So whatever you can do to help us, do it. Maybe you're already a Patriot Partner, you're already giving on a monthly basis, maybe before the end of the year, since we're coming to the end of the year, for tax purposes or what have you, you might want to give an extra gift. I know I'm thinking about that myself, because when the tax man cometh, so I know I'm thinking about I'd rather give money to Stan, to the church, to other organizations that I support, than to give it to Uncle Sam. So I'm certainly thinking about that. Maybe you are too. And if you are, please include us in your plans for what you're going to do with regard to year-end giving. Okay, all right. Well, we've got that out of the way. Let me get to the issues of the day. First of all, Matt Gaetz is withdrawn. I had a busy morning yesterday. I was not able to pay any attention to the news. And I was on a phone call with somebody, and they said, well, now that Matt Gaetz is withdrawn. I said, wait. Matt Gaetz withdrew? When? I'm thinking, did I miss something yesterday? No, just within the last hour. I said, oh, wow. So he's out. Pam Bondi is in as the nominee. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because there were people who suggested that Trump was never really serious about Gaetz. Maybe Gaetz wasn't really serious about the job. I don't know. But that he was not going to go through. And in fact, a dear friend of mine told me when I mentioned Gaetz, told me Gaetz will not be confirmed. And I said, really? Nope. He said Gaetz will not be confirmed. Gaetz is out. And he proved to be absolutely right. Said that to me from the very moment Gaetz' name came up. And we talked about it. He said Gaetz will not be confirmed. I said, oh, okay. So maybe he knew something I didn't know, but Gaetz is out. Pam Bondi is in. Look, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes there, but President Trump has a new nominee who has extensive experience as Attorney General of Florida. Apparently served 2 terms as AG of Florida, so she understands that job. So as far as I'm concerned, she's the perfect nominee. And I expect that she will be confirmed. So let's get to the next controversial nominee, because I have been wondering myself what Pete Hegseth was going to to garner in terms of attacks? What angle are they going to come from? Because there's never been any scandal surrounding him as far as I knew. Well, they found the angle that they're going to go after him with. And apparently, I didn't know this. I guess this was kept fairly quiet. But his orders to help in the Washington, D.C., I think this was actually during J6 to help the National Guard to maintain order. Those orders were rescinded because somebody brought an accusation against Pete Hegseth that he had a tattoo on his chest that represented white supremacy, that Pete Hegseth was a white supremacist. So the commander of his National Guard unit was told this by one of the other officers. They made a summary decision to rescind Pete Hegseth's orders, basically smearing him as a white supremacist. Now, I don't know Pete Hegseth. I met him on one occasion or two. I think I met him once and talked to him. I met him at an event. I think it was a Salt and Light event in North Carolina a couple of years ago. And he and I talked. He had his book there, and we shared a little bit. And in fact, he was there. Judge Jeanine Pirro was there. So we had a couple Fox people there, a couple of the real staunch conservative Fox people there. And I got a chance to chat with both of them. I was surprised to know they both know who I am, because I mean, I didn't have any reason to think they would. I guess, I don't know. But they also gave me the very clear impression, folks, that Fox News knows who I am. And they're not having any of this. And I think, again, I know why. I think the primary issue, obviously, is the SPCG mafia, the sexual perversion, child grooming mafia that's on the inside of Fox. And, they bury into these organizations and corporations like termites. Forgive me, I don't mean to dehumanize them, but I'm trying to use an analogy. And they just eat away from the inside. And they have a lot of control and a lot of influence because, of course, they're very vocal and they get hysterical and, you're a right-wing crazy and this, that, and the other. And remember, they have homosexual commentators on Fox News. And as I've said before, Guy Benson, most of the time, I agree with much of what Guy Benson has to say, with much of it. But Guy Benson is a homosexual. He's married to a guy. He's living in sin, and he's living in rebellion against God. Now, I'm not going to go on Fox to talk about that. They wouldn't have me on Fox to talk about that. But I guess knowing that that's my viewpoint on him and anybody else, because I'm coming from a biblical worldview, I think, and I've expressed that viewpoint rather vociferously, because I'm trying to save the culture from being turned into Sodom and Gomorrah. In fact, I think I shared with you all, I looked at there is a Prager University, they do these little videos, vignettes with Guy Robinson saying, I'm conservative, I'm gay, and I'm a Christian. Well, you're not a Christian. You're lying to yourself. You're not a Christian. You are a reprobate. Because you can't live that lifestyle and express your pride in it. This is who I am. And then say the same, but I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. You're not a follower of Jesus Christ. Any more than you can say, well, I'm a proud adulterer. I'm a proud thief. I'm a proud liar. I'm a proud murderer. I mean, that's like, to me, an abortionist saying, I'm a Christian. I kill babies every day. And it doesn't bother me. God approves. Well, no, he doesn't. God may be like this. God may be a baby killer. No, he didn't. So, obviously, that and who's the woman who appears on Fox regularly? And again, I don't have anything personal against these folks. I don't, on any personal level, dislike them. I wouldn't want to hurt them in any way. But homosexuality is sin. Period. It doesn't matter whether you're conservative or liberal. If you believe that, you're wrong. And you're going to bust hell wide open if you don't repent and ask God to deliver you from those perverse desires that drive you into that perverse lifestyle. See, that's what I mean. Things like that. At any rate, I'm going to keep telling the truth. And, if I'm never invited on Fox again, in spite of that, well, so be it. I'm going to leave that in the hands of God. But I'm more concerned about standing before God than I am about standing before Fox. I'm not concerned at all about that. I am concerned about standing before God, and I'm not going to tell God, well, Lord, I didn't want to tell the truth about that because, that would have messed me up with Fox News. And, of course, there may be others call themselves conservatives who don't like a person like me who expresses the strong biblical position. But so be it. At any rate, leaving that aside, that was a little rabbit trail, so forgive me for that. So Pete Hegseth is now being attacked, and the attack is coming from the direction I didn't see because I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, he's got a tattoo on his chest that somebody saw. It's apparently a cross on his chest. I don't do tattoos, by the way, folks. Don't have a single one on me, but I won't get into that. But somebody saw it and said that tattoo represents white supremacy. And so people who saw that tattoo, I think two of them, complained about Pete Hegseth, and his orders on one deployment were withdrawn because they considered him to be a security risk. Now, Pete Hegseth talks about this in his new book, The War on Warriors, which I have not which I have not read. Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free. Oh, that's right. He was supposed to be. He was supposed to be on guard during the inauguration, and they say you and I brought to the inauguration because they dubbed you an extremist. You got flagged by two soldiers who had been trolling your social media. They saw your tattoo, and the tattoo was what they flagged you on. Pete Hegseth says the cross. They told him the cross on your chest was determined to make you an extremist and domestic threat. That cross, they determined, is a tattoo of a white nationalist extremist. Now, Pete Hegseth says, no, that cross is the Jerusalem cross, which represents, quote, Christ's sacrifice and the mission to spread his gospel to the four corners of the world. There is one large cross in the middle and four smaller crosses at each corner. He said, and that part of the coat of arms after AD 1203 and 104 and 104-year reign of Jerusalem kingdom. He said, I got it after I saw it in a church while walking the streets of Jerusalem. It is a Christian symbol, not a white nationalist symbol. But do you all remember I said that there were people who were attacking a cross that's been up, I think, since World War II. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was out in the Washington State. I don't remember the exact facts on this, but they attacked it by saying that cross was the symbol of the KKK. So what they've done, because the KKK and white supremacists have abused and blasphemed the symbol of the cross. The cross of Jesus Christ is holy, but they have abused it and misused it and blasphemed it by turning it into a symbol of white supremacy. Now, we as Christians are somehow labeled with white supremacy when we display a cross in some way. So now the cross that's meant to commemorate those who gave their lives fighting for us, that's a KKK symbol. And now Pete Hegseth's cross on his chest, which is really intended to depict his commitment to Jesus Christ. I could get into a debate about tattoos, but nevertheless, that's what he put it on there for, not as any symbol of white supremacy. But these people have so little orientation toward Christianity, none, frankly, that for them, the cross is a symbol of white supremacy. And Pete Hegseth had the National Guard commander, Major General William Walker, who got an email with a photo of Hegseth's tattoos, who then made the decision that, yeah, this is a problem. He's a white supremacist. By the way, there were two commanders involved in this. And they were both black. So apparently, like many in the military these days, imbued with wokeness, instead of talking to the man and saying, well, listen, somebody complained about the tattoo on your chest, explain it to me. No. Well, somebody's accusing him of being a white supremacist. It must be true. So, and by the way, one of these guys, his name is Gaither. What's this guy's full name? Yeah. Master Sergeant Derico D. Gaither, who's now retired, has a podcast which features only black guests, and he uses the hashtag Black Author when promoting his wife's children's book on Instagram. And recently liked a post saying the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office's first all-female armed detention officer graduating class, whose members are all black. So this guy's a racist. He's the racist, not Pete Hegseth. And this stuff is just utterly ridiculous. And you smear this man with a terrible, terrible thing to say about somebody. You know, because we associate it, rightly so, with hatred and violence and the desire to do harm to other people based upon the complexion of their skin, which again, to me, that is about as absurd and as about irrational as it gets. But guess what? You only get called on that, okay, or even accused of that, wrongly accused of that, if you're white. If you're black, you can engage in all kinds of black supremacy and white discrimination, and that's okay, because after all white people are oppressors and all black people are victims. So the former lesbian mayor of Chicago can say, I am not talking to any reporters but black reporters. Well, you're a government official. That is a violation of the Constitution of the United States, and probably a violation of multiple laws, but you get away with it because if a white mayor tried to do that to black reporters, there would be a hue and cry heard, and rightly so, heard throughout the land that would shake the rafters. By the way, you know, I'm free associating here a little bit, but let me bear with me. Because I've been meaning to say this for a while, and this is the first time it's actually come out. Do you think that if Daniel Penny on that subway had been a black guy and the person acting up had been a white guy and the black guy put the white guy in a chokehold and he died, do you think the black guy would have been prosecuted? I don't. I guarantee you he would not. And by the way, if the guy put in the chokehold were white, and the guy doing the chokehold were white, and the white guy killed another white guy, do you think he would have been prosecuted for that? Nope. And what are they saying about Daniel Penny? He's a white supremacist. Well, why wouldn't he be? He's a Marine. We know most military has been infiltrated with white supremacy, right? This stuff, look, racial obsession syndrome is a sickness that runs through the left. But the idea of being obsessed with people's outward appearance is about as ungodly and as unbiblical and as unrighteous as you can get. Because God has made clear on numerous occasions in scriptures, he does not look at the outward physical appearance. He looks at the heart. And that's what we ought to be doing. In fact, that's what Dr. King said we should be the goal, right? To judge one another, not by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. And I add really to that we should all be evaluated on the basis of character and competence and nothing else. Character and competence. What kind of person are you, and can you do the job that's required? And you should be compared with others based on nothing else. Can you do this job better than others or better than most? Which has nothing to do with your skin color. But, you know, oh my goodness, if you're Pete Hegseth and you got a tattoo of a cross on your chest, suddenly you're a white supremacist. If you, once again, just think about this. If the nomination for Secretary of Defense were black, and let's say he had a symbol of the Black Panthers on his arm or on his body somewhere, based upon maybe a former life that he had, and maybe considered himself to be something of a revolutionary radical. I know I did. I mean, I've got a picture I could show you of me in a black beret with sunglasses and a black leather jacket, and I just knew I was Huey Newton. You know? Just as dumb as a rock, you know, in terms of my understanding of life and of America. But somebody could put that out there and say, you know, this guy's a former Black Panther. Do you think that ever happened? Oh my goodness gracious. You'd be called every kind of racist and every kind of whatever they needed to call you if you even suggested something like that. Even if the person was actually involved in that, to bring it up would bring a vicious attack against you. But Pete Hegseth, he is a patriot, a veteran, a well-educated guy. I think his degree is from Princeton. He's an author. He's a television commentator. He's a decorated veteran, combat veteran. And he's got a tattoo of a cross on his chest, which depicts his commitment to the Lord Jesus Christ. And suddenly he's a white supremacist. I don't know to what extent these Democrats, I did read, thank God, one article by a Democrat who said, you know, people, who knows Pete Hegseth, by the way, who said people need to, he said Democrats just need to stop this insanity. They just need to stop it. He said Pete Hegseth is no more a white supremacist than, you know, and then he used some comparison. He said, but that is utterly ridiculous. And this is coming from a Democrat. That is utterly ridiculous. And by the way, he said, just because you oppose DEI doesn't make you a white supremacist. I oppose DEI. I oppose DEI. I think it's an abomination. I think it's against everything this country represents. It's Marxist. Does that make me a white supremacist? Well, according to some, yes. Right? As I've said many times, you haven't lived until you've been called a black white supremacist. You know? But that's how absurd this stuff gets. I trust Pete Hegseth will be confirmed, and this nonsense will not hinder his confirmation, and President Trump will get his pick. Okay, here's another thing I want to mention. And by the way, don't let me forget, okay? Yeah, remind me. This is Friday. I will be in my church on Sunday, 11 a.m. at 943 Canal Drive in Chesapeake this coming Sunday. So if you're in the area or anywhere near the area, like maybe Hawaii or Australia or wherever you happen to be, just come on over. Hop on a plane and come on in. But certainly if you're in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Williamsburg area, come on out. I'd love to meet you and see what the Lord is doing with our wonderful church. Representative Chip Roy of Texas is calling for the repeal of this abominable law, which I believe is a violation of the First Amendment, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, FACE, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. I mean, that's this thing. They have locked up a bunch of people, put them in federal prison because they peacefully protested the killing of unborn babies. We should be pinning medals on these people, not putting them in jail. They're defending the most innocent among us. They're defending innocent human life. And they should not be put in prison. They should be rewarded for their courage and their willingness to put themselves on the line. I heard Steve Bannon speak at an event I was at last week. And Steve Bannon said he met some of those people in Danbury Federal Prison. People, he said, little old ladies put in prison because they are protesting the killing of unborn babies. They're protesting murdering the innocent. It's utterly ridiculous. So I hope that the House and the Senate takes this up and repeals this law. I've got to believe that at some point, somebody, if it's for whatever reason not repealed, and they've only got a couple of years to get this stuff done because we don't know what's going to happen to the House in 2026. It's not looking good right now based on the seats that are up for grabs. But they've got to do something about this and some of these other urgent matters. And I can't believe that somebody, if they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't get this done, would not take one of these cases to the United States Supreme Court and have this law overturned because this law is unconstitutional. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Absolutely convinced of it. Between 1994 and 2024, there have been 211 FACE Act cases. 205 of them have been brought against pro-life activists protesting outside of these baby killing factories. Only 5 have been brought against people who have tried to protest in front of a crisis pregnancy center that is trying to help women save their babies. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you this is a law that's turned against pro-life activists. I mean, this stuff is utterly ridiculous. Christian grandmothers, in fact, they've even prosecuted an 87-year-old woman who's, by the way, a survivor of a communist concentration camp. And here she is right back at it again. I mean, in other words, she's suffering the same indignity and the same persecution, the same torture. 87-year-old woman that they've jailed, 87 years old. And who is she a threat to? Because she peacefully protested outside of a baby killing factory. And some of these activists, Lauren Handy, for example, have been sentenced to years behind bars, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in federal prison. And by the way, this talk about irony. The Department of Justice has used the KKK era law called Conspiracy Against Rights against these pro-life activists. A law that was designed to prosecute the Ku Klux Klan is being used against 87-year-old ladies for protesting the killing of unborn babies. I mean, that's why these people can't be allowed to have power. Trump is dangerous, please. Trump is an antidote to the real danger which they pose. But at any rate, oh, and by the way, one of the things I'm looking at a Breitbart article here, which is a real go-to for me. but they didn't cover my presidential campaign adequately, but I'll leave that aside for the moment. But one of the arguments being made is when Roe v. Wade was overturned, it really meant that the FACE Act could not possibly be constitutional because the Supreme Court has now made clear there is no federal constitutional right to kill an unborn baby. It doesn't exist. And by the way, that was the point. The court didn't end abortion. That wasn't the point of it. The point was to correct some very bad jurisprudence, because there never was, there never could be, there never will be a constitutional right to kill an unborn baby. The court in Roe v. Wade made it up. They created it out of whole cloth because it was something they wanted to do. So they just figured out a way to do it. This is what these judicial activists do. They don't care about what the law says. They care about what they want. And they just make the law say whatever they want it to say. That's what happened with Jussie Smollett. Now, of course, one could argue there was by the way, again, forgive me, the free association, but it is related in terms, we're still talking about the way the courts operate. The Supreme Court of Illinois did not say that Jussie Smollett did not do the act, did not commit the hoax. He did. What they said was once the prosecutors entered into an agreement with Jussie Smollett, Jussie is his name, Jussie, not Jesse. Once they, again, don't get me started on that one. Once they entered into an agreement, they could not then violate that agreement and prosecute him anyway. That's what the argument was. That's what the Supreme Court decided. They said because he had a right to rely on the original prosecutorial agreement that he'd entered into. And when they vitiated that agreement, when they violated it, when they threw it out, they violated his rights. That's what they're saying. They're not saying he didn't do it. They're just saying, essentially that once the prosecutors entered an agreement with him, the matter was adjudicated. And really trying him was in effect double jeopardy. I mean, that's essentially the argument. So, but he did it. A little just sad, pathetic little man who's so insecure in himself and in his abilities and apparently in his career that he's got to make himself the victim by hiring people to attack him and claiming that they went after him because the MAGA people went after him because he's black and gay. Or homosexual, as I prefer to frame it. I don't use the word gay because to me it's a stolen word. It's a word that means happy, carefree, and they've stolen it to make it mean homosexual, and I just reject it. Just like I reject the word transgender because you can't transition from one gender to another, which again, this man who's trying to be a woman in Congress that Marjorie Taylor Greene has called out and said, you're a man, not a woman, and you're not welcome in the women's restrooms. He says, we're every bit as biologically female as cis women. On what basis? I mean, these people are nuts. They're certifiable. We're every bit as biological. How? How can you be? At any rate, that's just. Here's something else for us to be aware of, because we won a very important election. We meaning we conservatives, we Christians who believe the Word of God, believe in our country, believe in our Constitution. We won a very, very important battle, but the war is not over. The war is not over. Now, and it's not over domestically and it's not over internationally. Did you all hear that this Castro-loving idiot up in Canada, Trudeau, has said if he has the opportunity, he will arrest Benjamin Netanyahu on the International Criminal Court's orders. Now, first of all, Justin, how stupid can you be? Does he not realize if he had the opportunity, which he won't, because now that he said that, I'm sure Benjamin Netanyahu will never go to Canada, certainly not while this idiot's in office. But if he did that, that would be an act of war. And you know what he's saying? We have to follow international law. This is made up nonsense that these people are creating, and they've got a warrant out for Benjamin Netanyahu. Are you kidding me? Where's the warrant for the Hamas leaders? Where's the warrant for the Hezbollah leaders? Where's the warrant for the Iranian mullahs? Where's the warrant for some of these rogue leaders? Where's the warrant for Maduro's? You know, I don't hate anybody, but there are people I don't like, and I do not like Justin Trudeau. Ugh. I mean, to me, he's nothing but a little prima donna. Just a little Marxist, fascist, totalitarian prima donna. Remember how he wanted to freeze the bank accounts of the truckers who were protesting Canadian policy with regard to their work and their jobs. Remember that? He was going to freeze their bank accounts. I mean, who? That, folks, that's the mark of a tyrant. And this guy, well, like I said, I think the person he most admires is in history is Fidel Castro. But he also has great admiration for Mao Zedong, too, and the Chinese Communist Party. He's made that quite clear. He and Walt should go hang out together because they both love communism and hate liberty. Okay, well, I'm really out of time. Let me see, is there anything else I want to mention before I end the program today? Actually, I think we pretty much covered it all. Praise God. Oh, yes. Oh, I didn't cover this. Quick one. Bob Casey's finally conceded. About time. I guess once they realized they couldn't cheat their way to victory, because he was really hoping, man. You know, they wanted to prosecute Trump for saying in a phone call to the Secretary of State, I believe, find the votes, meaning, you know, make sure that you count every vote, make sure that every vote that's supposed to be cast is indeed counted. That's all he meant by that. He wasn't trying to manufacture votes, cheat, lie. But of course, again, another George Soros idiot down there, puppet prosecutor down there, you know, of course, they just hate Donald Trump. But Bob Casey has finally conceded. Congratulations to Dave McCormick. We already knew he was the senator-elect from Pennsylvania. Thank God. As I said, Bob Casey, as far as I am concerned, is a rank hypocrite. He calls himself pro-life. He's a liar. He's not pro-life. I don't know that he ever was, but he liked to posture that way. But the man, as far as I'm concerned, has betrayed everything he claimed he represented as a pro-life Democrat. If he's pro-life, I'm pro-abortion. And believe me, I am not pro-abortion. And as far as I'm concerned, Bob Casey is not pro-life. He's a liar and a hypocrite, just like a lot of these Democrats. So goodbye, good riddance. Why don't you, in fact, I hope maybe he'll go hook up with Robert De Niro and Bruce Springsteen and Ellen DeGeneres and leave the country. I mean, I'm not going to try to kick him out or anything, but just a friendly invitation. You know? All right, folks, that's going to do it. Listen, I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. I will be at the Tea Party Summit tomorrow morning. I'll be at my own church on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And don't forget to tune in. We'll be live streaming. please share this program and all of my live stream stuff and pray for us because we want to expand this program and what we do with it in next year. And I want to start having some guests on and doing a little bit more than just coming on and doing commentary. I'm going to still do a lot of commentary because there's a lot on the inside of me that I need to get out. But I want to have some guests on as well and talk to you about some of the people out there with tremendous expertise on issues that will be a blessing to you and a blessing to our country. So that's it, folks. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless each and every one of you. Stand up, step up, speak up, refuse to back up, because we cannot be defeated if we will not quit, because we are on God's side. God bless everybody.